Hello there. Happy very late Halloween. You might be wondering, Angela, why are you posting a Halloween reading vlog in the middle of November? I have a lot of answers for that. The first one is the election. That was many Groundhog Day Tuesdays over and over where I could do nothing other than be glued to my phone. Another reason is that I'm in a new home. And I absolutely love that I have seasons now. It is actually autumn here. The leaves are falling, have fallen. And the only problem with that is that that means it's not very sunny. So I had to wait to get a light because the footage that I filmed of my thoughts about these books was way too dark and it was just not great. My initial plan was that I was going to be participating in the Samhain Witchathon that is hosted by Raviv from Crescent Moon Reads. They do witchathons throughout the year, and this year there were 3 prompts. Number 1 is to read a book with orange on the cover. The second prompt was to read a book with the word witch in the title, and the third was just to read as many books as you can. It was actually just on Halloween, but I extended it. I want to say I extended it throughout the whole weekend, but to be honest, I extended it for like multiple days. Book with the color orange. I cheated a little bit. This is technically rose gold, but wow, this lighting is really betraying me because it really does look rose gold in this lighting, but in real life from certain angles it looks pretty orange. So I was reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, and I decided to continue reading it for the Witchathon. This book is about a young woman in a small town in France, and she really does not want to live the life that everyone else in the small town does, where you get married, you have kids, you stay there, you never leave. She wanted more out of life, and in desperation, she made a deal with a god to get her out of the situation. But this is the Owl Crate exclusive edition. As it says, never pray to the gods that answer after dark. And so the god that answered after the dark made the deal with her, let her be free, let her live as long as she wanted to with this freedom, but the freedom did have a price. The next book that I chose for the prompt of having the word witch in the title is The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. I've tried to describe this before, but the best way is what the book says. In the lands of Bethel, where the prophet's word is law, Emmanuel mourns her very existence is blasphemy. Her mother's union with an outsider of a different race cast her once proud family into disgrace, so Emmanuel does her best to worship the Father, follow holy protocol, and live a life of submission, devotion, and absolute conformity, like all the other women in the settlement. Mishap lures her into the forbidden dark wood surrounding Bethel, and the first prophet once chased and killed 4 powerful witches there. Their spirits are still lurking there, and they bestow a gift on Emmanuel, the journal of her dead mother, who she is shocked to learn once sought sanctuary in the wood. Then Emmanuel finds herself struggling to understand how her mother could have consorted with the witches, and learns more about the grim truths of the church and its history, and she realizes the true threat to Bethel is its own darkness. She starts to understand that if Bethel is to begin to change, it must begin with her. And the third prompt was to read as many books as you can. So I also added in there a short story that I've been wanting to read for a good while, The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. That book is about a young woman who is kind of pretending to be psychic, and she gets called to this very wealthy woman's very large house where she is having issues with her stepson. She is called to try to cleanse and take care of the house because there is the big question of, is it actually something wrong with the house? Is it something wrong with the boy? And as things escalate, how are you going to handle that, especially when you are not a real psychic? I was nervous about reading this because this is kind of my last chance with Gillian Flynn, I believe. I have read Gone Girl, Sharp Objects, and Dark Places, all by her. And while I liked all of them, they all got, I believe, at least 3 stars. I just am left with such a grim feeling after I'm done reading her books. I am very much okay and can even find value in reading books where terrible yet realistic things happen in them. However, Gillian Flynn's books always seem to focus on the worst of the worst kinds of people with the worst kinds of mentality and behavior and just darkness. And every time I'm in the process of reading her books or I've just finished, I just feel gross. I feel grimy. I feel a lot less hopeful and positive about the world. I really don't enjoy that because I work really hard to try to have hope that there is good in this world. And her books just emphasize the bad people, the bad situations, and the bad thoughts, because you're usually in their minds, and the dark, just badness. So I was very nervous to read that. On with the vlog footage after that long intro, and then I will come and wrap up at the end. Had some coffee, and then I went to Trader Joe's this morning and got these, and these are delicious. They do have a little bit of kick at the end of the ginger, but I love ginger and it's definitely not too much for me. It's not too spicy. These I thought I would try on camera because I saw cinnamon spiced and caramelized, and I love basically anything cinnamon. I have got my decorations, my fake fireplace. I was just watching a Haley and Bookland Halloween weekend readathon, which is funny because that's exactly what I'm doing. And here's some more of my Halloween decorations. Speculoos, let's see. Delicious. I'm gonna start by reading The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn on my phone. I can't get any footage of that because I use my phone to film, but that's where I'm gonna start. I just finished The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. I was not wrong when I said that most, if not all, of her books really focus on characters that do bad things. I gave it 3 stars. It's about a woman who is kind of a con artist. She is working as a supposed psychic, even though she admits it's fake. And a woman comes in who is having a lot of trouble at home and with her teenage stepson. She worries if the house is haunted. Is this the ghost of an evil past person in the mansion that is affecting the kid and the family? Is the house itself evil? Is the kid actually just mentally unwell? He is dangerous and threatening and overall creepy and manipulative. There are some true twists and turns. It was decent. It was alright. It was okay. It was a quick read. Break for dinner and Halloween Town and maybe Beetlejuice. We'll see how we're feeling.
Like there's some big mysterious reason why we can't go out. Face it, Mom. You don't trust your own kids.
That is not true.
Oh, yes it is. Hey look, I'm a potato. Are you happy now? Maybe I'll put down some roots in the carpet. Oh no, Marty. It's too dangerous. There are things about vegetables that you don't understand.
Am I the only one that could not believe that Marnie could get away with talking to her mom like that? Never in a million years. Also, her mom has a lot of patience. She handled that really cool, calm, and collected. Never would have talked to my parents like that. Holy cow.
Personally, give me a good nature documentary any day.
Halloween is cool, nature boy. I mean, it's exciting, strange, and ancient.
We hear that there is a little girl in here.
Oh, was this the ankle biter?
Yeah.
Go on.
And
Here's some ankles if you want to give them a little bite.
we hear that you like to play hide and seek. So what we're going to do right now
Oh.
is we're going to play with you.
Yeah.
1.
Is this good lighting? We all know that you do not come here for the technical specialties. This is what I'm working with because I'm really enjoying the evening of Halloween. I watched about half of Halloween Town, but then I realized how I know every single scene so well that I didn't even need to complete the whole movie. I was satisfied with just half. While we ate dinner, we watched Beetlejuice, and then we had to watch an episode of our Ghoul Boys, BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural. We are Shaniacs in this household, but man, do we love this show. So if you know what I'm talking about, let me know. Are you a Shaniac or a Bugara? The irony of loving spooky stuff so much and being a Shaniac is not lost on me, but that is the reality I live with.
It's obviously still pink, but it has this super cute Sailor Moon on it. Yeah, I'm going to decorate my Switch now, and then I'm going to start physically reading with the girls in the well.
So since the last of that footage, I have finished both of these books. I gave this about a 3 out of 5 stars. I would say it's right there in the middle of the road. And the reason for that is because there is so much potential with this book, and yet I feel like it fell short in my opinion. I found this without having read any reviews. I saw the cover and I read the back and I saw that one of the first reviews was by Shauna McGuire, who I love, and I saw the word feminist and I saw witches and I was really excited. Let me start with the good. The good was that I liked the concept. As I said, there was a lot of potential with this idea. The concept was so interesting. The atmosphere was written very well. It was very atmospheric. I really could picture this town, picture the dark woods, feel what the author was describing. I also liked the portrayal of the relationship that this character has with other characters. I like how even though this is a settlement that is very obviously, think of a cult, the people in charge are clearly not good. This is clearly not a great platform that the society is built upon, and yet she is very caring and careful about what her actions will do to the rest of the people in the town. She knows that essentially just because the church and the prophet is very flawed and cruel, it's not something that she's just going to take out on the entire town. And I think having that empathy or sympathy for the rest of the people was really nice, because it's really easy to fall into the trap of just saying, this is a terrible town, this is a terrible settlement, let's just destroy it all. There were also some very strong moments and quotes about feminism and about the harm that is befallen all of these women. I really appreciated all of the attention that was put into how the women are treated in this settlement. There was also discussions about race between the people in Bethel and the people in the outskirts and how there was prejudice there. So the potential, there was so much potential there. And then the things that I didn't enjoy as much, that it was very much more like a young adult book rather than an adult book. A lot of the writing, the situations, the unnecessary romance plot that just made everything really easy for her. I will say it felt like whenever she needed an answer, she immediately stumbled upon it. Or if she needed something done, she was more easily able to do it than I wish. I wish there was a little bit more struggle. I have to say my biggest disappointment in this book is something that is a spoiler. So if you don't want to hear it, skip ahead until the word spoiler is not on the screen anymore. The concept of this book, right? You hear it and you want her to find out that these witches are not evil witches. They're just misunderstood, either women or goddesses, however you want to look at it. And unfortunately, that was not the case. These were evil monster witches. And I just thought there was so much opportunity there for the mother to have found these misunderstood witches in the woods, and the irony of how the prophet and their church has demonized these women, and in the end they are the ones who are good and the church is the one that's causing the damage and the evil and the harm. That sounded fantastic to me. That sounded perfect. That's exactly what I wanted, because I like that commentary about how harmful one establishment could be, especially when they demonize another. That's not what happened. It was exactly like it sounds. They were evil, nasty witches to be conquered. And also the journal and learning about her mother's past, I just, once again, I thought it could have went a totally different way. I thought she could have understood her mother more, and instead it was not like that. It was just exactly what it seemed. That was kind of what bothered me, I guess, is that you obviously know that the prophet is going to be causing harm to the society with power, with harming women, with all of it. I was hoping that, knowing that, there would be some type of redemption with the witches, with her mother's past, and in the end, it was that they were all bad. Like, everything was bad. The witches, the place, everything. And I just wanted it to be that it wasn't what it seemed, that the church was lying about the witches and that it wasn't exactly what you expected. So I was wanting to be shocked by this book in a good way. Like, I had an idea of where I thought it would go, and I wanted that, and I wanted to be surprised, and it went exactly where it says it's gonna go, basically, and there was no surprise, and that was what kind of made me feel pretty lukewarm about this. I expected and hoped for more. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I read through it really quickly. It was an entertaining and interesting enough read. It was nice to read on Halloween because the dark wood and the corruption and all of that was a nice atmosphere for Halloween. But I just wanted more. I don't know how to begin to talk about The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I talked about it on an Instagram post. This book felt like me poured over into these pages. Addie, Henry, the characters in this story, the history in this story, everything that happens in this story just spoke to every cell in my body and my entire soul. It literally feels like me in a book. I don't know how Victoria Schwab did it. Honestly, this book I took probably a whole month. I think it was a whole month to read, but that was because I read about a chapter at a time. Not because it was boring, not because it was slow, not because of any other reason other than that I wanted to enjoy it. Every sentence, every chapter just filled me up and made me so moved. I know I sound like I'm being dramatic, and I probably am, but for me, this book was everything. I'm so happy I got the OwlCrate exclusive box, so I have things littered all over my house that are from or inspired by this story. So this is easily, I don't even want to say 5 out of 5 stars. This is just off the charts. This will probably forever be the book that means the most to me and that I love the most, unless something else comes out. But so far in my life, this book just, it is Angela in a book. And I made sure to say in the Instagram post that I can't be unbiased in this. I cannot recommend or not recommend this book to anyone because I don't know if you're gonna like it. It might be too slow, it might not be your cup of tea. All I know is that it was mine, and I love it so thoroughly that you can't take my review for whether or not you should read this book, because again, like, how do you critique something that means so much to you, that was exactly everything that you are and needed, and do that in an unbiased way? I can't. So you're gonna have to find someone else to read a review about this than me. I hope you all are doing well. We're still in autumn, but we're getting really close to the best time of year, arguably, which is Christmas time. I hope you did enjoy your Halloween while it was here. I would love to know what you did or read or watched on Halloween too. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.